Welcome to episode 41 of the We Are Auto Show. How we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Busy, and while I've been busy out and about, I've seen some really weird things with drivers.
What do you mean by weird things with drivers?
So you know how we give BMW drivers a really hard time all the time?
Yep.
It shall continue.
They deserve it.
The saga of the BMW drivers.
Okay.
It lives. So I was stopped at a light, and at the light I was stopped at, just on the corner, is an auto repair, a tire shop.
Yep.
And the tire shop department was pretty busy, but there was a nice big empty spot. And it was
Okay.
a big spot too. It wasn't like the super skinny narrow little spot. It was a big spot.
Okay.
So I watched this old man in a BMW try to pull into the spot. Now, just next to the spot was an older Range Rover.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't brand new, but it was an older Range Rover that was parked in its lines.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. But it was parked with its wheels turned on full opposite lock, which means a little bit of its front tires were sticking out a little bit.
Okay.
So as the guy in the BMW was coming in, he was getting into the spot. And do you remember a number of episodes back, one of our I Wish They Would was I wish people would, or I wish you could use your bumper for bumping?
Yeah.
So the old man in the BMW lived out our I Wish They Would Have, and he actually used his bumper for bumping. He just bumped himself into the angled tire of the Range Rover.
That is what they're built for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't come in fast. It was like just such a gentle, oh, there it is. I found
A little
it.
touch?
Yeah. It was like, I just don't know where the boundary of my car is, so I'm going to go until I feel something.
Right.
And he just felt something and then just stopped. But then he proceeded to get out of his car and have one of the biggest door dings I've ever seen in my life. I heard the door ding from where I was stopped at the light.
Yes.
He opened his door and just went, kunk.
Oh, man.
I'm waiting to turn left at this light, and I look over and I just go,
Oh, no.
and I think people in traffic just saw my jaw hit the floor. And I think the guy even caught me seeing him, catching me, catching him.
Right.
Because we both kind of had this like a half a second worth of eye contact of like, did you see that? I didn't see that. Did you see that? You saw that. Oh, God, you saw that. Oh, Jesus, you saw that. And then he proceeded to walk into the tire shop and was none the wiser.
Ooh. I don't know. I'm torn on that because, bumpers are made for bumping. You don't want to bump into other people's cars. You definitely don't want to door ding people.
It's a one-time use with the bump, though.
Kinda. It depends on how hard you bump something.
You're not supposed to use it to just find the boundary of your car.
No. I totally agree with that. That's what front-facing cameras are for. But
This was a newer BMW too. This wasn't like a crummy old ratted out 318i or something like this. This was like a brand spanking new, maybe not the brand newest, but I think within the last 5 years of a BMW 430i convertible.
Have you ever bumped into another car with your bumper on purpose to figure out the distance?
No.
Neither have I.
I can't actually say that I've used my bumper for exploring the outer boundary of my front.
No, I have not either.
It's
frowned upon.
the quality of driver that we see is interesting.
To BMW standard.
It is to BMW standard. That is for sure. I will not dispute that one bit.
The standard is low, but it's there.
Damn right. The standard is low.
Yeah.
But shall we move on?
We shall. Is there any
right.
news to chat about?
There is.
Okay.
So there is some news that, frankly, I don't really care about.
Okay.
So it's coming from a car brand that a lot of us probably don't care about. Fiat.
Well, okay.
So Fiat is supposedly being brought back to life. It's being revitalized. It's almost dead. It's clinging on. It's on life support at the moment. But apparently it is scheduled to come out of its coma soon.
Fiat is coming back?
Yeah.
Wait. I mean, they still make Fiats here in America, right?
Yeah, they still sell a Fiat.
The 500.
Nope. The 500X.
What about the Abarth?
Nope.
That's not sold anymore?
Nope. Discontinued.
Oh, okay.
It's dead.
Okay.
The only Fiat that is sold in America right now is the 500X.
What What is the 500X? Is that their bigger Fiat?
Yeah.
Okay, I know. The one
It's kind of like, in my opinion, the 500X looks like a pimple that needs to get popped. Because it's got that kind of like weird bubbly shape. It just looks like you just need to like pop it.
Yes.
So the only thing that's sold right now is the 500X, but Fiat's, I guess not just Fiat, but Stellantis, which we discovered that not too long ago. The Stellantis CEO has actually been on record saying that they are revitalizing it and bringing new models to the U.S. Wow.
Oh, are they EV?
Well, currently, Fiat does have a bigger European footprint with its 500e, which is essentially an EV 500, which is stupid, frankly. But what's quite funny is once they discontinued all the kind of the OG 500, like the Abarth, all the good Fiats, well, not all the good, the only good Fiat, the Abarth, they were selling the 500e in Europe, which has actually done really well. And what's really funny is the Stellantis CEO, Carlos Tavares, says that he could picture the 500e being sold very well in California.
Yeah.
Go figure.
I can picture that as well, yes.
Like, of course that's going to be
other states in the U.S., it would probably have more trouble, but
yeah.
There's a select few where it might work.
Select one, frankly, yes. And it's only California. Apparently, they actually tried to sell the 500e for just a little bit.
In the U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you know what's funny? They were selling them at a 10 grand loss each. Yeah. So if you see a Fiat 500e running around, one of the few of them that were actually sold here for a very brief period of time, it was sold at a $10,000 loss each.
I know that it is somewhat common, especially when they go into the EV market, to start with a loss on a vehicle. That's why you see most car companies starting with a really high-end car, right? Like Porsche came in with a Taycan. Crazy expensive, but to make the margin that they need to make it actually make money, they have to start with that. Now, interesting that Fiat went down the path of, I guess they don't really have a super high-end car that they can...
Fiat doesn't have a high-end anything.
No. So they were kind of just stuck, and they did what they could, but interesting. All right, what are they doing here in the U.S.?
Well, all that we know is that they're bringing new models.
That's all they're
pretty much the article is just saying that, they're deciding on a future in the U.S. and that they think that Fiat has a much brighter future in the States in the coming years after they bring whatever they bring back to life here. I mean, currently we see pictures of the Fiat 500e, which frankly is ugly.
I'd be curious to see where they go. I bet you it will go down the EV route.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, they're kind of forced into that at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
How it will actually do, that's a bigger question. How it will be priced, how the U.S. market will take it.
Honestly, I think it's going to be a complete and utter failure and a piece of shit, frankly.
That's a hot take. It could be, but I think that they'll find like a middle ground where it kind of works, but I don't think it's going to be a money maker.
Maybe they'll sell them at an $8,000 loss instead of a $10,000 loss.
Yeah,
we got to win now.
Stellantis can do it.
That is some good business right there.
Yeah, no.
Something like that. Shall we get into some other news away from Fiat?
We shall.
All right, so I've got some better news for consumers here. So consumers, more specifically of GM products. So GM is reporting to get mostly somewhat kind of close to back to normal since prior to the chip shortage, right? So there was that big chip shortage that has plagued everyone as I try to English. And GM is kind of getting back to it. So they were lagging a bunch for a couple of reasons. One, the chips. Two, also the fact that, well, they had closed factories for like remodels and makeovers and just other stuff too. But apparently the article is saying that over time an increased supply has helped GM get back on track.
Right. This is starting to happen in kind of all industries, and it's kind of interesting that this is happening. There have been, I think that we have even talked about, there have been some manufacturers that have even taken like little parts out of the car, like a a camera sensor or something like that out of the car just to get the car off the assembly line while this chip shortage has been in effect. But this is starting to come back on a whole bunch of different fronts. Computers are starting to come back in order. Graphics cards are starting to come back in order. And these are like products that are very heavy in the chip market. Now, I know that the nanometer of the chip, and this is probably way over your head, and that's fine. Just roll with it. The nanometer is the width of the wire that is being used for the transistor in the chip. They go on like really small, tiny increments.
The width of the wire being used for the transistor in the chip.
Yes. The transistor is the thing that like says, is this a 1 or a 0? Okay. Okay. Don't worry about it. Like I said, it's going over your head. Just roll with it. All you need to know is that 20 nanometer is very big, and we're starting to get to the point where Intel and AMD and all these guys that are building these chips are getting down to 3 nanometer, which is extremely, extremely, extremely small.
Where would you find a 3 nanometer chip transistor thing?
What you can do is you can take it down to really small like that, and you can pack more transistors or more little logic gates into a smaller chip. So the chips continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller and more efficient as they get smaller.
Oh.
Yes. So what's happening here in the auto industry, though, is they're either figuring out a way to get the bigger nanometer chips, because those are not in as much demand as the smaller ones.
Okay.
Because the smaller ones are used in graphics cards and computers and like expensive components.
Got it.
And they're starting to figure out how to use those chips in the cars now. So it's becoming less of a problem, the chip shortages, which is great. And it's actually becoming less of a problem across the whole entire tech world right now, which is also good.
Got it.
Yes.
Interesting. I kind of somewhat understand.
Kind of.
I do have a quote from the article.
Okay.
That is, supply has increased enough to put most of their North American production sites back on normal schedules, with some even including overtime hours to help get up to speed. So that's essentially telling you that we should start seeing more cars on lots, at least GM cars on lots.
Yes.
Soon-ish.
Yes. And that's awesome to hear, because it's very needed from the dealership's perspective.
I agree. It's because as consumers, if you tried to buy a car recently, if any of you consumers have even tried to buy a car recently, you can't. They just don't have them in the lots.
No.
And the ones they do have are stupid expensive.
Dealerships are going to crazy, crazy lengths to try to buy used cars off of people right now.
Yeah, so I know we've talked about this before, but if you got a used car that you're thinking about selling that you don't need anymore, might not be a bad time to offload it.
It's a fantastic time.
All right. So, shall we move on to some other news?
We shall. Do you have some other good news to talk about?
I do have some other good news. I have some more news that is going to be pulling at my heartstrings a bit.
Let me guess the manufacturer in that case.
Go ahead, try.
It's German.
It is?
It starts with a P.
It does start with a P. It's penis. No, it's Porsche.
Okay. It's on your cup right there. Nice.
It is on my cup. Yes.
All right.
This one, as a matter of fact. Yes, so I've got some Porsche news. The P cars.
Yes.
So Porsche, a long time ago, was racing the 911 in rallies. So Dakar Rally, across like the Arctic in Norway and all sorts of crazy rallies through the deserts and everywhere. So there's a trend going on where people are taking an air-cooled 911 and they're turning them into paying homage to the Safari 911s. So they're lifting them, putting them on off-road tires. And Porsche, as a brand, has seen this and said, all right, I see what you're doing. How about we give you a new one like that?
Fantastic.
So Porsche is making a Safari 911.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes, it's sick. So Porsche's making the new 992 generation 911 in a Safari, and it's been spy testing at the Nürburgring.
The Nürburgring.
Yes.
Now, that's an interesting place to test that car.
This car should be tested in the deserts of Africa.
The Nürburgring?
Yeah, I mean, it is a Porsche. I guess that is home, I suppose.
Okay. James May would disagree, but that's fine.
Well, James May would like the Nürburgring to be bombed.
Yes.
Yes. Bomb the Nürburgring. Mission by James May.
Yeah, I'm not about that, but whatever. Anyway.
Either way, there's the 911 Safari being tested. It's been spied. This is not, from what I'm understanding with sources, this is not like maybe this might happen. This is like a legit thing that is happening.
I am a big fan of this.
I am freaking excited.
Of course you are, because you're Mr. Porsche. That's
well,
fine.
Of course, yeah.
But I, on the other hand, don't really have the bias that you have.
You're right. You
but
don't.
I do like it when people do Safari out the Porsches. They look just enough out of place that it works.
Yeah. Like they're just wild enough to be like, ooh, I can dig that.
Yes.
It's on stilts. It's lifted compared to like the standard 911.
Mm-hmm.
It's on tires that are a lot beefier. It's got a lot more sidewall, a little bit more off-road grippy tires. Honestly, it's freaking cool.
You see like a WRX with rally mud flaps, and you see it, sliding around in the dirt, and you're like, okay, perfect, and it's meant to be. You see a Porsche that's squatted in the butt and has the engine hanging over the rear, and you're like, oh, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited that Porsche is actually making a proper Safari 911 that will be available to the public and not just for racing. Now, this is a little bit bittersweet for me.
Oh boy.
Because Porsche lately has been doing like a greatest hits version of like all of the OG dream cars.
That is true.
So Porsche is doing a new version of the 911 ST. Porsche is doing a new version of the Safari. Porsche is doing a new version of the Sport Classic. Porsche is doing, I heard they're doing another, like a paying homage to the original 2.7 RS. They're doing a little bit of everything. Now, like they're doing obviously the GT3, the GT3 RS. They're probably going to do another GT2 RS. They're everything. It makes me wonder. Is this the swan song of the ICE 911?
Probably.
I fear that Porsche is doing a greatest hits album.
I mean, they have a Taycan out. Like they are that one step away.
They've been testing Macan EVs.
Yep.
They're starting to. There's rumors of doing the 718 EV.
You better believe though that that's the last car that they're going to try to put the EV platform in. I suspect.
I hope. I mean, they've been testing in like a hybrid GT3 RS at the ring as well.
Oh, really?
So like a smaller displacement with a battery but it'll rev almost like bike territory, like an F1 car rev to like 12 grand. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I like it because it's cool. Because it's like, oh dang, a Safari 911, hell yeah. But I don't like it because it's like, ooh, does this mean
right? Is this the send off?
Is this it? Where Porsche is now just doing a greatest hits of everything, of all of the ultimate cars?
Yeah, probably.
Yeesh.
Probably.
Yeesh. Not so sure how I feel.
Just take it at face value for now. Don't overthink it at the moment.
I'll try not.
Because it's coming. It's inevitable.
Don't. Just don't. Just don't. Just
you
don't.
Absolutely know it's coming.
But does it have to? It doesn't really have to, in my opinion. It shouldn't have to. But shall we move on from Porsche?
We shall.
Okay, so I've got some more news from another German manufacturer.
Okay.
This is a VAG group. Audi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is news from Audi. So Audi has scheduled the TT RS for assassination after 2022.
What else was just scheduled for assassination recently?
Many things.
Okay.
Many things.
Audi TT is going away.
But not just the Audi TT, the Audi TT RS. They'll keep the regular TT and they'll keep the TTS, but not the TT RS.
Oh.
So not the biggest titties are going away. So they're only keeping the smaller titties.
Well, that's a shame.
I agree. But the Audi TT RS is being killed off after 2022. And Audi is actually giving them a send-off with a fancy schmancy Heritage Edition version of the TT RS.
Okay.
So, you know how I'm a big colors guy, right?
Yes.
So the big thing about the Heritage Edition is that it's a big, like, limited edition colors kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you a little background here. So the Heritage Edition TT RS is going to be coming in 5 unique color combinations.
Okay.
And they're all coming back. These color combinations are coming from their like original paint jobs that were worn by the iconic 1980s UR Quattro.
Right.
So like this is coming. This has got some homage and some lineage here. So they're only going to be limited to 50 units of these TTRSs. So these are going to be really limited.
Oh my god. 50 per color?
No.
Oh, just 50. Oh,
50
my gosh.
Heritage Editions. And it is 10 in each color.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
really,
rare.
really limited. It's going to be really, really limited. Now, we'll get to price later, but let me run you through the 5 different color combos.
Okay.
Because this is something that I'm going to nerd out. So, The 5 color combos that the Heritage Edition are going to be offered in are, starting with Alpine White with an ocean blue leather and diamond silver stitching interior.
So I'm assuming that that's this one that we're looking at if you're on
look
YouTube.
to be it. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, it is blue seats, and they look really cool.
They do look pretty cool.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
But it's white on blue, essentially.
Okay.
The next option is Stone Gray with a crimson red leather and jet gray stitching on the interior. So
Stone Gray.
that to me sounds kind of like a darker gray, I think. Honestly, it's probably going to be pretty cool.
Is it that one? I don't even know.
No, it's got a red interior, so it's going to be that one.
Ah, okay.
That I like Bloody Guts. Red interior.
You're right.
I like a red interior. Then the next option is going to be called Tizian Red with Havana Brown leather and jet gray stitching on the interior. So I'm thinking it's not going to be, I think it's going to be that.
Okay.
Hard to see, but almost like a saddle brown.
Yeah.
Now that is another one of them. Now, the next one is going to be called Malachite Green with cognac brown leather and black stitching.
I like that color combo.
That is my favorite.
Yeah, I like that color
That
combo.
is one of my favorite color combos to ever be put on a car ever. Green on
That
green
works.
on like that, like cognac.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and it's like a darker green, so it's almost like almost a British racing green.
Right.
maybe
That's
a little
exactly
bit more
what it reminds me of.
metallic-y.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be
An
that
old
would
Jag or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be maybe my favorite, but we'll get into that in a minute. And then the last option is Helios Blue with diamond silver leather and ocean blue stitching.
Helios Blue.
That would be the I think that
This
one
one.
right there with
Yes.
the gray seats.
Yes.
So that's kind of just okay. That doesn't
doesn't really fancy me either.
no. I mean, it's all right. It's not the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
Of the 5 options, what is your favorite?
Oh, definitely the green.
Yeah, green for
Yeah.
sure.
Especially if you come up here and I dig the green that's on the far right of this photo. It's awesome.
Same. So this is make green great again. Frankly. This is just amazing. I am a big fan of that green with the cognac interior.
It's super cool that they're doing this. The only worry that I have here is they're going to be very pricey.
So they are going to be pricey, but we'll get into that in here in a second. There's a couple more details I want to mention.
Okay.
So the Heritage Edition is also going to feature special Heritage Edition branding that's going to actually be etched into the rear quarter glass. And
Okay,
then
that's
it's
cool.
also one of my favorite other little details is it's going to have on the right side of the car, in that glass, I believe still etched, is going to say, it's going to have 1, 2, 4, 5, 3 as the firing order of that iconic 5-cylinder engine in it. And the Quattro script. So that's kind of a cool little detail.
That is very cool. 1, 2, 4, 5, 3.
So the actual firing order of each cylinder.
Of each cylinder on a 5-cylinder.
Kind of cool.
That's neat.
So
That's very neat.
Do you remember when we were talking about, what was it? A Volkswagen Passat, I think? There was a Passat that we talked about a number of weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago.
I think so.
And that had the really cool detail was it had the map and blueprint of Chattanooga and the blueprint of the factory where it was being made in the cup holder.
In the cup holder, yeah.
That's the same kind of really small detail that I really, 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 really like.
Yep.
Is the firing order of the 5 cylinders. Yep. I'm just a big fan of that. That's just so cool to me.
That's very cool.
So you asked about price.
Yeah, I'm very worried about price. Okay. Making 50 of them lends me to this being very, very pricey.
What do you guess?
What's a current Audi TT RS going for?
Audi TT RSs are currently going for about 73 to 74 grand.
There's only 50 of them.
Of the Heritage Editions, yes.
And it is the swan song of it. Mm-hmm. My guess is 85.
You're close.
Oh, boy.
A little bit less.
Okay.
82 and change.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Was that almost 10 grand?
Yeah, so here's the thing. The 2022 TT RS, they're doing a regular TT RS and they're doing the Heritage Edition TT RS for 2022.
Right.
The regular TT RS is going up $700 over the current TT RS.
That's reasonable.
So it's going up to $74,245 is for the regular TT RS. For the Heritage Edition, you're $82,495.
8 grand. Yeah.
Is it worth it though?
Would you pay 8 grand for green?
I might, actually.
Oh, my gosh.
So here's why. Hold on. Just stay with me. So if you were to get custom colors like that through Porsche Paint to Sample or whatever it is, the Lamborghini Ad Personam or whatever the in-house customization is, that's usually like a 10 grand option. So you might actually be saving a couple of bucks.
But it's on like a 911 turbo. It's on a $120,000 car in the first place. Like,
yeah, but people are doing it on M3s.
But the percentage of value that you're getting there is different, right? 8 grand over 120 grand is way different than 8 grand over 70 grand.
But green is worth a lot.
Oh my gosh. No,
I
wouldn't
green
do it
car.
unless you're an Audi fanatic, and they exist. Like, people are really into Audis.
They are.
I can totally see it. It will sell out, no problem.
Oh,
no problem.
They'll sell all 50 of them easy. Now, I do actually have some news for those Audi fans.
Okay.
So a lot of people opt for the TT RS because it does come with that legendary 5-cylinder engine.
Mm-hmm.
So that legendary 5-cylinder engine is not dying. So the current TT and TTS, not TT RS, but the TT and TTS do not use the 5-cylinder. They use a 4-pot turbo.
Okay.
So the 5-cylinder is still going to keep being used in the RS3. So that's what's currently in the RS3. The RS3 is keeping the 5-cylinder, but it's not being extinct when the TT RS goes. You can still buy the RS3 with the 5-cylinder.
Do you know anyone who would buy this car?
If I had a spare 80 grand sitting around doing nothing, I would.
Really?
I think I would. I just really like a green car.
You could get a paint to sample green car from Porsche, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's... But I'm not spending 80 grand on that.
How much are you spending?
For the one I'd want.
Never mind. We won't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we shall refrain from going down. I could get a 911 Safari and then paint to sample Brewster green. Oh,
I would much rather take a Safari. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but that's going to be stupid expensive.
Right.
Either way, that's the Heritage Edition TTRS that the TTRS has been scheduled for assassination, as I've said.
I love the idea. I wish they made a little bit more than 50. 50 is pretty low.
50 is pretty low.
But it will keep its value really well. And I'm sure whoever is going to buy that is probably going to make a profit off of that car. It will increase in value as they turn these into EVs. Yeah. And that being the swan song of it as well, being the Heritage Edition. Like, it wouldn't be a bad investment, honestly.
I could see that being a $100,000 car in 5, 10, 15 years.
Yes.
Easy.
Yeah. But I am not the Audi enthusiast to buy it.
True.
Yes.
True. So shall we move on?
We shall. There were many racing shenanigans that happened this past weekend.
Yes, and I didn't see any of them.
Okay, let's chat about a couple of them. We'll pretty briefly chat about a couple of them.
Okay.
In F1, we know that the points gap going into I think it was the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix at, I don't even know how to say, Jeddah, something circuit.
Jeddah Corniche, I believe.
Yeah, probably. This was the first time they had raced at this track in Saudi Arabia. The track was like nearly not finished construction-wise.
Yeah.
They actually like pulled out of their butts at the last second to get it done, but they got it done. They actually had an event there. It was a street circuit with the highest speeds they've ever had at a street circuit, with the average highest speed. It was bonkers fast for having the walls be so close to you. A lot of drivers were very, very adamant that this was unsafe.
See, the only piece of this whole Formula One weekend I caught was Max Verstappen's qualifying lap.
Oh, okay.
When he was sending it.
Yes.
And sent it just a little bit too hard.
Right. He got to the final corner and sent it into the wall on the... Yeah,
that's the only part of Formula 1 I caught this weekend.
So, long story short, he did qualify second. Max did. He was about to be pole. Lewis went pole, and that puts them at a 6-point gap. They're going to the race 1-2. No problems there. They started the race, and in this race in total, I believe that there were 2 red flags with like 4 or 5 safety cars. Many, many people ended up either in the wall or with problems in general. They were talking about safety, and the problem that they had is it was a night track, and if some incident were to happen in front of you, the walls were so high that you couldn't see the next corner coming up. And since they're all high-speed corners, if there is an incident in front of you, you are going into the incident. Yes.
You know what this reminds me of already?
NASCAR.
More specifically, not just NASCAR, the Indy race in Nashville.
Yes.
Remember the Indy race in Nashville?
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
It was just mass pandemonium, and you couldn't complete more than 4 laps at a time because everyone was just piling in.
Narrow, high-speed track that people had not driven, and it was just chaos. Yes, that kind of is what happened here.
Okay.
There were some shenanigans that went down, though. There was, at one point, Max and Lewis coming out of a restart after one of the red flags went into the first corner, side by side, and in the scenario that played out, they both went off the track, and Max punted Lewis off the track, yada, yada, yada. Max inevitably had to give the place back, and the way he wanted to give the place back was to do it right before the DRS detection zone, so that when Lewis was in front of him, they would detect that Lewis was in front of him, then get to a long pit straight where you could use the DRS that you had just gained by having Lewis pass you, and then pass him back.
That strategy does make some sense.
It makes total sense. And over the radio, you heard the team come on to Verstappen's headset, and they say, hey, allow Hamilton to pass strategically. Strategically being the key word there. Yeah. So they had talked about this prior to the race. Like, if you're going to have to let someone pass, do it here at this point. The way in which he did it was interesting.
I saw a highlight.
Yeah. Max decided to woe up big time, and I guess that he was told, give the position strategically. Lewis was never told that before this.
That we know of.
He was never told over the radio that Max was about to give this position back, and he proceeded to just run right into the back of Max Verstappen.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the highlight that I saw, that looked just like someone getting rear-ended.
It basically was. It did end up messing up Lewis Hamilton's front wing. It didn't hurt the car enough. Initially, I thought he was going to have to retire.
Damn.
Yeah. And the pit stop strategy ended up playing out so that Verstappen was on hard tires trying to make like a really long run to the end of the race, and Lewis was on softer tires, or the other way around. Lewis was on hard tires making a long run, but with less laps, and he could make it to the end. And Verstappen had to make a really long run on medium tires, and he ran out of tire by the end of the race. I think the gap at the end of the race was like 10 or 20 seconds. Like, it was a pretty big gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Gap. But Hamilton does win the race, which means we are dead even in points going into the final race of the season.
Yes.
Dead even.
So that does make the final race pretty exciting for 1 and 2.
It does.
So there are 2 races to watch in the last race of Formula 1.
Right.
You've got Max and Lewis, and then you've got the rest of the field.
You do have the Mercedes-Benz versus Red Bull Championship still at play.
The Constructors.
The Constructors Championship. Although Perez did wreck out in that race.
Where did Bottas finish?
Third.
Oh, so that's big for Mercedes.
That's really big.
That's okay. That's huge.
So it nearly clinches them. They're not quite clinched, but they're basically clinched. If they finish both the cars, they have the championship for the manufacturer.
So let's put it this way: if Max and Lewis get into a big
hubbub,
and then Bottas maybe does something Bottas-ish, then maybe Mercedes loses it.
It's a possibility. There is one interesting thing that could happen here. They could end in a tie, points-wise.
That's stupid.
They could.
They better not.
And in that case, it would go to race wins, in which case Lewis has the edge.
How do they end in a tie?
They could end in a tie if one gets a faster lap and they finish near the bottom of the top 10. It's a possibility. It's unlikely, but it's a possibility to end in a tie.
Neither of them get faster laps, and they both wreck out.
No, it's going to be a 1-2 finish, and there's going to be like one pitch strategy that's going to win or lose somebody a championship. Like that will be probably how this plays out.
Yes, and this is at Abu Dhabi in the last race?
This is at Abu Dhabi in the last race. Okay. And it is at 8 a.m. Eastern time if anybody wants to watch it.
So that will be something to watch this Sunday.
It will be. It will be. Now, did you happen to see there was another racing event that happened, the Bathurst 1000?
So I didn't get to watch it. I saw a little bit of highlights here and there. We did briefly talk about this last week just as a preamble, but I didn't really get to watch it. Did you see any of it?
I didn't get to watch the whole race. I did see the highlights as well, and it looked exactly like what I wanted it to be.
Yep, 100%. Could not agree more.
Better NASCAR. It really is just better NASCAR, dude.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
It is better NASCAR. It is big, heavy heffalumps of a thing that these guys are wheeling like crazy madmen through a tight circuit, up and down and left and right and in and out in all the directions you can imagine. And carnage and drama and pain and suffering and entertainment.
Right. It's like 160 laps at a relatively long lap circuit. So it's a pretty big lap. You go up and down a mountain. And they ended up with rain. They ended up with slippery surfaces. They had many incidents, many accidents, a lot of mechanical failures. In the end, Shane Van Gisbergen ended up winning. And it was really awesome to see.
Yeah, the highlights, it just looked like a freaking ball. And not just a ball, but the balls on the people driving. Yeah. Oh, my God. There were some corners where you could see, this just looks like you're trying to, this is the professional bull riding, PBR.
Yeah.
You're out there wrangling this beast 8 seconds through a corner up and down a mountain. It is just freaking insane is what this thing is.
It's what NASCAR should be.
It really is. I wish we had okay, I got a question for you. Do we have a circuit that is similar to Mount Panorama here?
Laguna Seca.
Is that the closest we've got to kind of a Bathurst Mount Panorama circuit?
Well, what else is hilly? You have Road Atlanta, somewhat hilly, right?
But it's too wide.
Laguna Seca, somewhat hilly. You have VIR, which is kind of a roller coaster. It's not super hilly.
Yeah, but I don't think we have anything that is on a mountain other than Pikes Peak.
I'm trying to think.
I really don't think in the U.S. we have anything that's really comparable to Mount Panorama.
No.
Where they run
because they go way up a mountain.
They go up. Bathurst is like wiggle up, wiggle down.
Yeah.
And then
some flat bits.
A couple of flat corners. And then right back up and right back down again.
Right. No, I can't think of one where you go way up. Let us know in the comments if you have or you know of a racetrack that we're missing. Because it could be a small racetrack that we're missing. Yeah. Like Thunder Hill might be really hilly or something like that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Somewhere.
But Laguna Seca has the corkscrew. Like that's
Barber, maybe? No.
Barber's not super hilly. No.
I can't think
I mean, there's some elevation change.
Yeah, but it's just a hill. It's not a mountain like
the only reasonable thing that I can think is like the Roval kind of situations where you go up the banking, like the Charlotte Oval, the Daytona Oval.
Kind of.
It's not hilly, but like you're getting the car up on elevation.
I see what you're saying about elevation.
Right.
I would be very curious to know. So everyone watching and listening, please comment or send us a message on social.
Yeah.
What is America's kind of ideal Bathurst type of race that we have here?
I don't know. I'd
be curious to know.
Anyway, it was very cool to watch the Bathurst 1000, or at least the highlights. Shane Van Gisbergen wins in the Holden, and it was awesome to watch.
Which means there would have been a Holden versus Ford brawl. You know how soccer fans burn down a whole stadium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what happens with the V8 supercars. It's literally like just a fight. There's a race breaking out in the middle of a fight between Ford fans and Holden fans.
It's like when I tell people go to Sebring because there is a race that happens around a party.
Yeah.
And there's the party is the beginning. The party is there first. And then a race happens around it.
Yeah, it just so happens to be this race that's happening around a party.
Yes.
Which is kind of, in my opinion, although I haven't been to Bathurst with the V8 supercars, I think it's just a race happening around a giant mosh pit of Ford versus Holden fans.
Yes, and at the top of the hill they brawl. It's awesome.
Yeah. I think so.
So is there any other racing news that we should chat about?
There is some kind of unknown racing news.
Okay.
So you and I have been to a series called HSR.
The Historic Sports Car Racing I believe.
Yes, correct. HSR. So it's actually almost exactly a year ago to this weekend that you and I were both at the Sebring Classic 12-hour for HSR.
Yes, we were.
So this 2021 Sebring Classic 12-hour happened. So there was a big name CEO that was out there running with a bunch of other guys that literally just have historic sports cars that have raced in anything, whether it be air-cooled 911s or kind of just a couple-of-year-old cup cars or some couple-of-year-old prototypes or some really, really old stuff.
Very diverse.
Extraordinarily diverse.
Yes.
So, yeah, there was a big name CEO out there.
When you say CEO, a car-related CEO?
Yes.
Okay. Who would that be? He was racing at Sebring.
He was racing at Sebring.
Is it
an hour and a half away from us.
Is it American?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's was it one of the big three?
As a matter of fact, yes.
My guess is Ford in that case.
You guessed correct.
Yes.
The actual CEO of Ford, the chief executive officer of Ford, was racing in HSR at Sebring literally this past weekend.
That's super cool.
Really cool, in my opinion. Like, how cool is it that the CEO of a major car brand is out there racing historic sports cars?
I think that's how it should be.
I love that.
Yeah. If you're a car guy at heart, like, you're a car guy.
Exactly. Yeah. And not only was he racing, he won.
Okay. He won his class, I'm assuming?
His CEO, Jim Farley,
Right.
he won at Sebring.
That's cool.
Sebring Classic 12-hour. He was driving a Cosworth Ford powered Lola T298.
T298.
Yep, and he was actually driving with a co-driver, Billy Johnson, and I believe Billy Johnson was one of the drivers that was racing the 24 Hours of Le Mans when they brought the Ford GT back.
Oh, that is amazing.
How freaking cool is that?
That is amazing.
That's so sick. And apparently there was a little bit of drama in the race too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently there was. He was in a big battle with another guy. I think, what was the other guy's name? Phil Riley, I believe.
Okay.
Phil Riley was his biggest competitor. Phil Riley was driving in a Chevron B26. So these are old race cars that a lot of us aren't really super familiar with if we weren't from like the 60s and 70s. Right. But it was this Cosworth Ford Lola versus a Chevron. So they were apparently going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then there was some late drama where the Chevron, the Phil Riley and the Chevron actually bend it into turn 7 at Sebring.
Ooh.
So of all the places to bend it at Sebring,
there is some runoff at turn 7, but you're coming in hot.
So you've got what's called now the safety pin, right? So for racing people, if you are and or are not familiar with Sebring, turn 7 is kind of the iconic hairpin, right? Yeah. Back in the day, it was just you went into that corner at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and if you ran out of brakes, you were headfirst into a wall.
Yeah.
So they've since edited that, and instead of calling it the hairpin, it's now called the safety pin.
Yep.
But the Phil Riley in the Chevron, he had something went wrong, something failed, something broke as he was going in, and it caused him to go into the barriers into turn 7. The good news here is that Phil Riley is uninjured.
Good.
But that let Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford itself, to win the race.
I mean, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
Racing in a Ford in an old school car with like a driver that came from the era. It's super cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Now there is a quote that Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, has said after the race.
Okay.
And this kind of sums up car enthusiasts as a species.
Oh boy.
Jim Farley says, "I feel bad for all those people who wake up on a weekend and just play golf. I'll make this short. I'll make this quick. Please go buy a Ford." So when you retire, don't just be the old man that just goes and golfs. Go race HSR. Go race SVRA. Go do something with your car. Go for a drive. Go do something. And I am just over the moon so stoked that the actual chief executive officer of Ford is out there just because this is literally just for fun series.
Right.
HSR, there's no big money prizes. I think he won like a watch.
Yeah.
And bragging rights. Right. It's literally a series just for shits and giggles, just to go have fun with. And the CEO of Ford is out there racing.
It's awesome.
I love that.
I think there should be more out there.
I agree. I feel like if you're a CEO of a brand that has a racing background, or of the brand that has a racing background, you should be required to race your cars.
Yeah. And if you're not into that, like, that might not be the job for you.
Then get into it.
Or get into it. But
yes,
if you're not about racing and you're the CEO of Porsche or Nissan or like people with heritage or companies with heritage, you should be out at track days, at least on the weekend. You can be in the office on the weekday. I get that. But
yeah, you got to kind of live and breathe it.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's super cool.
But yeah, that's a little tidbit about HSR. Anything else we can talk about in the racing world there?
There is one little snidbit of news. I can't talk right now.
Snidbit?
Yes. Not even going to try it. A little tidbit of news. That's what I wanted to say.
There it is.
Daytona is adding to the Rolex 24 layout, the bus stop in the back. Do you happen to know the corner that I'm talking about?
I do.
They added some big old sausage curbs back there.
You come through there at 3 trillion miles per hour.
Yeah.
Oof.
This got posted on the IMSA Reddit, and I wanted to talk about it because there was a lot of controversy that was going on in the Reddit.
Things are going to get exciting.
You come through that corner at like, not even making this up, probably 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. When you're leaving that corner,
And that's in a prototype or a GT car?
That's probably in a GT car.
So in a prototype, you're more than that.
Yeah, you're more than that.
You're probably a buck.
Yeah, you're probably a buck. And they put some really, really big curbing in. And people are very, very
I'm going to interrupt you. For those that don't know what the sausage curbs are, think of like the curbs at like a mall. Almost like a curb stop of a parking.
Right.
Like a parking curb block, almost. If you can imagine that. That's kind of the ferocity and the ferociousness of how big these sausage curbs are.
Yeah, they are very worried about cars getting airborne at this point. Yeah.
I have a theory, Derek.
I kind of do too.
My theory is probably different than yours, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
So Daytona, geographically,
Uh-huh.
it is quite close to Cape Canaveral. I'm wondering if NASA has some sort of hand in this, and they're trying to find out how to send a prototype car to the moon.
So if you're watching on YouTube, this is the photo of the curbs that have been installed at the bus stop of Daytona.
Freaking huge.
Yeah, prototypes are going to get airborne on that. I don't know really what they're thinking.
Maybe they're trying to. Maybe they're using them to leapfrog GT cars.
They did this at turn 7 at Sebring. We just talked about turn 7, the hairpin. But they put it on the inside, and it is a low-speed corner. You're going 30 to 40 miles an hour through that corner.
Yeah.
If you hit that, you for sure break something.
Yeah,
because it's huge.
You're gonna have some suspension outages.
Right. But the problem is this is a high-speed corner.
And this is a high-speed corner that people take a lot of curbing on.
It is.
This isn't a high-speed corner where you just kind of you stay out of the way of everything.
No. You mow this corner. You mow this curve.
Every time that I've done it on iRacing or seen anyone do it,
right,
you are literally just pegged straight for curb.
Yeah. And going too wide through here will now be impossible, which is unfortunate. And not to say this is a spot where you should be going too wide through. You probably shouldn't. But
you should for entertainment.
Yeah.
And if you want to make pass, you got to make pass.
There's going to be passing.
Like there has to be passing.
There has to be passing. That is part of what IMSA is all about. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this plays out. It'll be very interesting at Daytona.
It'll be be the next space mission, I think.
Yeah. I know that at COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, when F1 was there a couple weekends ago, there was an F2 or F3 race, or maybe it was a women's series race, the W series, where one of the cars did hit a sausage curb, came down, and she was going, I think, 100, 120, and she broke her back. So, like, serious problems can happen from these.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And it didn't look like a particularly bad incident. The front of the car just lifted up a little bit and came back down. But that was enough to slam her down on the ground to break her back.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So they're not getting a good rep right now, these curbs. I get why they put them in, because people are just, like, not even abiding by the curbs, and they're just mowing over the grass there. And you can see, even in the photo, that it's just pure dirt. But I don't think that this is the safest way to do it.
You can actually see the tire marks going through the grass.
Right. So, we'll see.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
It's gonna... I am curious what's gonna happen when a prototype hits that. Especially a prototype.
Break.
A GT car has got a little bit more forgiveness. Not a lot, but a little bit. I mean, a snidbit, as you may say.
A tiny bit more.
Yes, a snippet or a tidbit.
Stop it.
But I am genuinely thinking that these prototypes are going to almost... Do you remember, and you may or may not remember this, but a long time ago, and I think this was in Le Mans, when I believe it was Mark Webber in the GT1 era. So I believe it was Mark Webber in a GT1, maybe it was a GT1 Porsche, I believe, that he came up over a hill, and then a little bit of wind caught just below underneath, and he went all the way up and all the way over, a full 360-degree backflip.
And into the woods.
Yeah, and I actually remember watching that live.
Ooh.
I was like, I don't know, I was maybe 8 or something, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah.
We may see flying cars.
I hope we don't see that, because Mark Webber was booking it down the Le Mans straight.
Moving.
He's doing 180 or so at that point. So
moving.
I don't think that we'll get that much flying, but we're definitely going to get cars airborne off those curbs, and we'll get them coming down really hard, breaking suspension bits, and I don't know. It'll make for an exciting race. Hopefully not a dangerous race. That's what I have a worry for.
We'll see.
Yeah. So speaking about dangerous things,
Okay.
when we were driving, when were we together driving? I think we were coming back from
C8.
Yeah, coming back from the C8. We were actually in the car of the C8, and we were taking roundabouts.
Yes.
Are roundabouts safe or dangerous?
I love them. I think they're safe.
I do too. I think they're very safe, and they actually keep the flow of traffic going very well.
Yeah.
But you told me that I was not doing roundabouts correctly.
Correct. You are incorrectly doing roundabouts.
Can you educate me on how to correctly do a roundabout?
I can't, and it starts with what you were doing wrong, which was your turn signal.
Okay.
You, as well as many humans on Earth, do not really think or didn't know that you're supposed to use a turn signal through a roundabout. Believe it or not.
How many people have you ever seen use a roundabout through a turn signal?
So I will tell you, the people that use turn signals through roundabouts, I've probably actually taught in the car.
I think you're right, because I never see it.
Every once in a while, I'll see it, and I'll be just, like, overjoyed with emotion. Like, someone's doing it properly. Oh, yes. So, let's talk about that.
Teach me, Sensei.
All right. So, when going through roundabout, you are actually supposed to use a turn signal, or a blinker, if you will, even if you're going straight through roundabout.
Okay, so I come up to a roundabout. I need to avoid, say it's a four-way roundabout.
Correct.
Right.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
All I'm trying to do is go straight.
Yep.
And I need to use a blinker.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Not only do you need to use one blinker, you need to use 2.
Oh boy.
All right, so let's get into some roundabouts for a second. So I'm not even going to get into the whole idea that what the difference between a yield and a stop sign is. That could be a whole nother conversation later. But just with the turn signals, with roundabouts, you're actually supposed to use your turn signal when you enter it, letting people know that you're staying in the roundabout or exiting the roundabout. So if you're going straight, that's usually the second exit to go straight.
Right.
You would enter with your left turn signal. That is letting people waiting at the first exit know that you are staying in the roundabout past their exit.
That doesn't mean I'm going to turn into oncoming traffic?
You would be surprised, but technically no. That's not what it means.
Okay.
And then, to do it properly, after you pass the first exit and you're going towards your second exit, you would then use your right turn signal to let
leave.
people know that are waiting at the second exit, hey guys, I'm bugging out. You can go ahead.
And this only applies in the U.S. In the U.K., it would be opposite.
Well, you would start with your left, and then, or you would start with your right and then end with your left.
They'd be going the other way around.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, turn signals are required.
I did not know that.
Yes, so hopefully you and everyone else listening and watching uses your damn turn signal to roundabout.
Question.
Answer.
If I am going straight to a four-way roundabout and I want to go left, I come in with my left. Do I leave my left on until I get all the way around?
Correct. You would leave your left turn signal on until you reach just before the exit you take.
Okay.
So between the second and third exit is when you would throw your right signal on. The only time you don't enter with your left signal is if you're simply taking the first exit to turn right.
I did not know.
So, a little bit of education for you.
I had no idea. That is a very cool one, though.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that 98% of people out there do not know that and
hope
do not use that.
At least 98% of people in the U.S., frankly.
Yes.
But I hope that people start to do that because you could see how that would make things so much easier.
I can totally understand why it's a thing.
Yeah. As you're coming to a roundabout and go, oh, they're staying in. I should wait. Right. Oh, wait a minute. They're bugging out. I can get out.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
It makes a quick decision even quicker.
It does. Yeah.
Which would then, in theory, even further speed up the flow of traffic.
Right.
Because then you're not pausing an extra second going, are they staying in? Are they going out? What are we doing here? Just saying. If we use our turn signals, it's not like it's a difficult thing. It's an inch and a half away from your steering wheel. A little magical light will flash.
Make sure you change your blinker fluid.
Yes. You better go down to your auto parts store and get some fresh blinker fluid because it is going into winter where it may freeze.
All right, we need to move on.
Yes.
This is getting out of hand.
Actually, before we move on, have you seen the YouTube video where the dad actually sends his daughters in to try to get blinker fluid and they come out like, that's not a thing?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
There's another YouTuber around here called Ross Creations.
Yeah.
And he bought a bottle, wrapped it in blinker fluid wrap, and then when people in front of him would not use their blinker, he would go to them at a stoplight, get out of his car, hand the bottle to them of blinker fluid, and tell them, hey, I can see your right blinker needs a little bit of fluid. You can put this in.
I am so going to be stealing that. I think I need to carry some portable blinker fluids with me, and I'll just start handing them out to Muppets that aren't using their signals.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great idea.
I do like it.
Yeah. So, as you were out and about watching people without blinker fluid, have you seen anything interesting?
I have seen many interesting things.
Okay.
The first thing I saw that we have already talked about was a Maserati, so a fake baller car.
Oh, is it a proper fake baller car?
Actually, this is the most unfake baller of all the fake baller cars. So it is a Gran Turismo, but it is not a regular Gran Turismo. It is the MC Stradale version.
The Stradale version.
Yes.
Okay.
I like the Stradale. I do like the Stradale.
It is the most reasonable of the Maseratis.
Honestly, this is maybe the best bargain of a vehicle you could buy.
Do you think so?
In terms of performance for dollars amount, yeah, probably. Because
Really?
as we know, Maseratis depreciate like an anvil falling from the sky in a Looney Tunes show.
I mean, you're really not wrong about that.
I swear to God, you buy a new Maserati, especially a Gran Turismo, and literally within 3 days, you might as well have just written a check for like, I don't know, 45 grand because it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
You're not wrong about that.
I think you could honestly buy an MC Stradale, which is their hard, fast, lightweight,
Right.
tuned up version of the Gran Turismo. I genuinely think you could probably buy this car for like 40 grand now.
Did you happen to see who was driving it?
It was parked, so I didn't.
Oh, man. I was going to see what kind of owner were they?
I couldn't.
Were they a
I
fake
didn't
baller?
see them.
Okay.
But it is maybe the only Maserati that I would probably own.
I can see the appeal of this one. The rest? No.
Yes.
No.
So that is my first spot.
Okay.
Gran Turismo MC Stradale.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing that I didn't even list that I did see that is not even a car is a U.S. Marine Corps CH-53 helicopter.
Oh, boy. We're going in the aviation world. Okay.
Just for a quick second. Yeah.
Okay.
I was out there and I was out and about, and this is not something we ever see here. I've actually never seen one in real life. We don't have any naval air stations or Marine Corps bases anywhere near us at all. So I was stunned to see one here. You never see one here.
What was it?
It's a CH-53.
Is that the big one?
It is the big heavy lift.
Okay.
It's a heavy lift helicopter.
Is that the one that has the two?
No, that's an MV-22.
Okay,
That's an Osprey.
Yeah.
This is the CH-53. It's a single rotor, but it's a it's either a quintuple or a sextuple blade rotor.
Okay.
Really, really cool. I saw it, and it makes a much more aggressive rotor wash noise.
Right.
So I was sitting there, and I heard, I was like, wait a minute, what the hell's that? That's not a Blackhawk.
Right.
That's not a standard civilian. What is that?
It hit you in your chest.
Well, a little bit, and I was like, whoa, that's a 53.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's
But
cool.
That's something I saw that doesn't even really matter, but I wanted to mention it.
Okay.
The next thing that I saw that was really kind of cool, that is something that I didn't really know, I still don't really know too much of, frankly. But it is, and what I saw was a right-hand drive Toyota Celisaur.
What?
And it was lowered on gold BBSs. They were gold BBS LMs. So that's not, if you're watching on YouTube, that's not the actual picture of it, but that looks damn close.
A Toyota Celisaur, not a Celica.
No, a Celisaur.
What is that?
So it's essentially like a Lexus LS400.
It looks similar. Like
But
the body shape looks
No, it
very
is
similar.
actually a Lexus LS400.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's literally just pretty much what Toyota made the LS400 as for sale in Japan.
Oh.
So this was right-hand drive. And I don't know what came in it, whether it was a V8. I thought it was a V8 at one point.
Okay.
I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. But I saw it, and it was manual.
Right.
And I was in dead stop traffic, and I look over, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Especially because at first I was like, oh, it's just Lexus. And then I look over, and I see the dude sitting right next to me because it's right-hand drive.
Uh-huh.
And we both kind of looked at each other and gave each other a little
Head nod?
thumbs up. And I
Yep.
was like, dude, that's freaking cool.
That is super, super cool.
I believe people have bought these and turned these into drift cars.
It has the drift car stance to me, right? You
Kind
could
of,
see
yeah.
that sliding through a corner.
Yeah, so I believe this is a popular car in the drift community.
I think so.
I don't know too much about them, but honestly, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was a great spot.
Yeah, I agree. But my spot of the week is going to go to something that I just really, really think is just pretty.
Okay.
My spot of the week was a black Ferrari F8, but more specifically with a red interior.
Ah, okay.
That color combination, now that's not the exact picture of it, but that color combination is money.
Yeah, it reminds me of I think it was an F8 that was out that had the gold rims.
The black,
maybe the black
matte
rims.
black one?
Yes, the one that was out at Cars and Coffee the past time. And that's the same owner that has the
black turbo with gold wheels.
Yes. It's very similar to that.
It is. But
the red on black does work. It works really well.
I saw it and I was just like, oh, that's so good. If I was getting a Ferrari that wasn't red or yellow,
right,
that is maybe the spec I'd get. Black with a red interior.
Would you go gold rims with a red interior? Red brake calipers?
I would probably go silver wheels, frankly.
Okay.
I really like silver wheels.
Okay.
Save silver wheels. I like contrast.
Reasonable.
I like contrast. Silver wheels would look really good on that. But black with a red interior, it was just the cleanest spec F8 that I've ever seen.
Right.
And I've seen a bunch of F8s now, but the F8 black with the red interior, ooh, it was really good.
You can't go wrong with that spec, and you can't go wrong with that car.
True.
It's a Ferrari.
Yeah, it is a Ferrari.
Yes.
So, have you seen anything while you've been out and about?
So, I haven't been out too much, but when I was out, I spotted something that I didn't really know much about, and I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
And as we were doing the research for this show, it led us down a rabbit hole that I did not expect. So first, let me talk about what I spotted, okay?
Okay.
What I spotted was this. And for those who are watching, this is an MV1, and it is a van. It's a van made for mobility stuff like wheelchairs and a mobility vehicle. It's like a wheelchair taxi. I don't know much about these. I see these a lot in like Top Gear, right? You'll see them over in the UK.
It's ugly.
I just wanted to learn about it. You ready to go down a rabbit hole?
Let's start to go down this rabbit hole. I don't think we have enough time to go all the way, but let's give everyone a taste of the rabbit stew here.
Who do you think makes this car?
I really don't know. I thought it was some sort of Korean company.
I was looking for a badge on it. All I saw was MV1, and I Googled that, and it brought me to this vehicle production group, which is the most generic thing I've ever heard. Vehicle Production Group LLC is an automobile manufacturer based in Miami, Florida. They make these in Miami.
What?
Okay. Now it gets fun.
This is just the Vehicle Production Group. Yes, what do? We produce vehicles. We are a group that produces vehicles.
It is manufactured by AMG General. AM General, not AMG. AM General. Do you know who AM General is?
No.
They are a manufacturer that's based in, I believe it's Indiana. Do you know what they also make?
No.
The Hummer H2.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
That's GM.
No, GM contracted them to make the Hummer H2.
Wait, no, hold on. Wait.
They make the Hummer H2. They make 5-ton trucks. They make the Humvee C Series, which I believe is the actual military Humvee.
So, wait a minute.
And a Mercedes-Benz R. What?
Hold on. So the Vehicle Production Group is owned by AM General.
Yes.
And AM General makes cars of all sorts that we think are made by other people that are actually not made by other people that are only...
Mm-hmm.
What is going on?
I don't know.
I know the Hummer is like the H2 and the H3, which you can't buy anymore. They're dead. But I know they were made by GM. But so you're saying they're not made by GM.
No, they were actually put together by this AM General group. GM sold them, but they contracted AM General to build them. Really weird. I totally agree. Now,
what the hell? And then, hold on, a Mercedes?
A Mercedes-Benz R-Class.
That's the stupid van thing, isn't it?
That is the dumb van thing.
What the...
Where's the correlation here?
What is going on?
I don't know.
Is this just like the bidder for the lowest cost? Like, you're putting up I don't know, drywall, and then everyone's like, we'll do it for $100 an hour, we'll do it for $110 an hour, we'll do it for $40 an hour. Let's go for the ones for $40 an hour.
AM General is an American heavy vehicle and contract automotive manufacturer based in South Bend, Indiana. They're known for the civilian.
Bend, of all the places,
South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
And the Humvee is assembled in Mishawaka, Indiana. So they're in Indiana. This car that we're looking at here, the MV1, the mobility vehicle unit, Mobility Vehicle 1 is what it's called. That is produced in Miami. So I guess that they get these from Indiana and then get them down to Miami and make them mobility vehicles. This is so weird. I had no idea that this manufacturer even existed. I had no idea that AM General was a thing. I had no idea that they did the Humvee. I had no idea that they played a part in this car, and I had no idea that this car was built in Miami.
I'm getting more confused by the second here.
Same.
So AM General owns Vehicle Production Group?
The Vehicle Production Group LLC is an American automotive manufacturer based in Miami, Florida. It made the wheelchair-accessible taxi cabs, the MV1, which was built in Mishawaka, Indiana, at AM General plants.
But I thought it was built in What is going on?
I don't know, dude. No, they're based in Miami, and they build the car in Mishawaka, Indiana. I don't know. We went down a rabbit hole, and it led us to a Humvee.
It led us to another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then another rabbit hole and
Right.
another rabbit hole. So, no one knows about AM General.
No, but every time I look at one of these, some of the specs on it, it has a Ford engine. Pull that one out of your butt.
Hold on, wait, stop, pause. So, this car that is based out of Miami, made with GM products by AM General, has a Ford engine? Mm-hmm. Okay, this does not.
It's rear-wheel drive.
This does not compute.
It has a Ford V8 and
What?
a 4.6 liter Ford modular V8, and I guess that now it has a 3.7 liter Cyclone V6. It can either have a 4-speed automatic or a 6-speed automatic. It's
you don't get a 5-speed automatic.
Nope,
you get a 4 or a
skip
6.
skip
we
5.
only go by even numbers.
Skip 5. The curb weight is 6,600 pounds.
Oh,
It's hefty.
Fair, yeah.
It's a hefty one. I don't see a power number. I'm trying to find a power number.
The power number is so low that they didn't even list it.
It's gotta be stupid slow, dude. Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing in the world, and it's butt ugly.
Oh, it's terribly ugly. But I'm sure that it serves a purpose, right?
Like
it's
it
to
is
get
fugly.
wheelchairs in and out as a taxi.
Yeah,
it's a taxi wheelchair.
Can't there be actually a better looking version of this? Why did they have to make it so ugly?
I don't know, but it has a ramp that comes out the door to allow you to get in, which is kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah, but don't they already do that? Like, don't they upfit Toyota Siennas and stuff like that?
And yeah, I believe so.
Like Grand Caravans and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've seen those. But this was just one of those vehicles that I didn't know much about. When I went to Google it, it was like, whoa, what is going on here?
It's weird.
It's weird. It's ugly. But it was kind of a cool spot, and I don't see them very often.
It is a cool spot, and it's interesting.
Yes.
This is the best way.
That's a good way to put it.
Interesting, especially when you start digging into what the hell this thing actually is.
It's a conglomeration from many manufacturers in many different places around
I wonder
the US.
where Stellantis has a hand in it, because I'm sure they do.
They have to. If Ford has something in it, if a Hummer has roots in it, Stellantis has to be in there somewhere.
I'm just confused by it all, but yeah.
It's a wild one.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So it is now getting a little long on time, which means it's almost time for one I wish they would have.
Okay.
Do you have one?
I do.
Okay.
So I wish that your car would tell you when you're running out of Freon in your AC unit, or when you're running low on it.
Ooh, like if you had a Freon gauge.
Yeah. I don't see why the car couldn't give you not a warning on the dashboard, but like at least a code in the CPU or something, right?
That's not a bad idea, especially for those of us that live somewhere like Florida, where you use your air conditioning, I would say 357 days out of the year.
Yes. More than are in the year. Yes.
Yeah.
The reason that I say this is because my wife's car is a little bit low on it, and we keep on putting more in it. So there's a slow leak somewhere. And to find that slow leak is a pain in the butt. And if you're a mechanic, you know this. Like, you have to either go get neon freon and go get a black light and figure out where it's leaking from, or you got to put bubbles everywhere to figure out where it's leaking from. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
The current solution is just throw more at it, but that doesn't last for a long period of time. Now, it should be able to tell you, and I'm sure that there are sensors in the car that determine...
There has to be a way.
Right. The pressure of the high pressure lines and the low pressure lines in the actual AC unit itself. Why can't it tell you how much is left, or if the compressor is kicking on more or less? It should be able to at least give you some insight as to what's going on, and at least give me a direction like, hey, it's a high pressure leak or a low pressure leak. It seems very doable.
That does seem like something that should be a somewhat easy fix.
Yeah.
I really like your I wish they would have. It does make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Those are the best.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
I wish that it would tell you, at least give you some insight as to what's going on with your AC and your Freon, and if you have a leak in it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Now, how about you?
So my I wish they would have, I'm actually borrowing from your mother. So my I wish they would have is that I wish there was some sort of like proper defrosting spray that for those of us that live up in the northern regions where you get snow and ice, where you wouldn't actually have to wait for your car to defrost and for your engine to warm up, that you could just spray on your windshield and you're completely defrosted.
That should be a thing.
Like a proper, easy way to do it.
Why is that not a thing?
I don't know.
Really?
It would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it?
Why couldn't you just take, like, put a tank of water somewhere in there, use your engine heat to warm up the water to a reasonable temperature, and, like,
yeah, but
use
then you
your
have to wait.
windshield?
But then you have to wait for your engine temp to come up. Because when you
Yeah, I know.
So if you're in cold climates and you're running out to go to work,
There's no option.
yeah,
Okay.
like you just want to get in and go, but you can't because you can't see
So would you think it's, like, some sort of chemical something
Maybe.
that would work?
something.
Like,
Yeah.
they have those hand warmers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that those are not chemicals that you can just spray on the windshield and let them drain into the lake or whatever. But it seems like there could be a chemical out there that you could put together 1 and 2, and it would
There's
have a
gotta be
reaction,
something.
heat up, and melt it.
It would make sense. But that's my wish they would have.
I like that. I like put it on the windshield wipers, or have some sort of spray that would come up from the hood.
Yeah, something out of your washer nozzles or something
Yeah, get all the ice off your windshield.
Yeah.
Seems doable.
It
Seems
does.
very doable.
without having to wait for your engine to warm up.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess that's gonna wrap us up then, isn't it?
I think so.
All right, so that's going to wrap us up for episode 41. Thank you so much for listening and watching on YouTube. Please do us a number of favors. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube. Drop a comment on the video, give it a like as well, and share to your friends. Also, if you could send any of your auto-related news articles and or I wish they would have on over to us via social, whether that be on Facebook at We Are Auto, Instagram We Are Auto _ TikTok We Are Auto, YouTube is We Are Auto. And also leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. And that's going to be it. So thank you all again so much for listening and watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.